Hi everyone, welcome back to Box Delights. Today we're playing The King is Dead. I've got two boxes here. This is the first edition, which I think I picked up in 2015 and developed some solo rules for, and I'm going to demo those to you in a little while. This is the second edition. Both are from Osprey Games. Pierre Sylvester is your designer. And what I'm keen to see is what's changed in second edition, what have they done to develop the game? Do the solo rules still hold up? They do. It's still as tough as always. And also demonstrate why I think this is a great game. Let's have a quick look at the differences in the maps, because that's the most obvious difference first. Second edition map is a lot brighter, smaller playing area. That's fine. There's no reason for it to be bigger. In second edition, you've got wooden tokens where we had cardboard ones in first edition. Let me just show you. There they were. So yeah, these were quite thin and not always easy to pick up and move around. Okay, these wooden ones are much better. The old edition had wooden cubes. We still have wooden cubes. We still have a cloth bag. And the cards have changed too. Okay, so a little bit of graphic design change. Okay. The other addition in second edition is a whole bunch of new cards. So it's a new way to play. They call it the advanced rules. And in the advanced rules, you've got a whole bunch of new types of actions that get shuffled in randomly. So this is a game of political struggle. It shares some similarities with Pax Pamir second edition, actually, in that there's three factions in the game. There's the Scottish, the Welsh, and the English. You represent none of those factions, but one of those factions is going to be dominant at the end of the game. And if you have the most followers in the dominant faction, then you are victorious. So it's a little bit of a political struggle. It's really sharp. The rules are really simple, but the depth from a multiplayer game of you'll be playing cards to influence the power struggles that are going on across England, Wales, and Scotland. And the solo rules are actually quite tough. There's two ways to win the game in multiplayer. There's the coronation, and that's having the most followers in the dominant faction. But there's also this invasion. An invasion happens when there's going to be 8 rounds of the game, and there's 8 regions. In each round, we'll have a power struggle in one of these regions. If nobody's dominant in one of those regions, if no faction, English, Welsh, Scottish, are dominant in one of those regions, then we have an invasion from France. Okay, there's an opportunity for an invasion. There's no strength there. In the multiplayer game, the game will immediately end if 3 invasions happen. And in that situation, instead, you're looking for the player with the most sets of followers, English, Scottish, Welsh, who diversified the most, right? Not focused on one dominant faction, but diversified the most. In the solo game, if an invasion happens, you immediately lose. So that makes it a lot tougher. Okay. All right, let's learn how to play, because I'm telling you stuff and it won't mean a lot until we get some context in the game. In the basic game, each player gets 8 cards. They're the same 8 cards, okay? And all 8 cards go into your hand. Okay. Now, in the solo rules, we're playing us against a Saxon player. This kind of represent the resident Britons, the people, if you like. I just shuffle up their deck and place it face down. For us, we take the 8 cards as normal. Like I say, if you're playing the advanced variants, which is new in second edition, you get these 12 cunning cards. And if you want to play with these 12 cunning cards, you remove 3 cards from your basic deck, which is the Welsh, Scottish, and English support cards, these 3. Remove those and replace them with 3 random ones from the cunning deck. So you end up with a set of players with an equal starting point. You don't know what each of your opponents is going to be doing. Okay, pretty neat. Okay. For the solo game, we're going to set up as a 2-player game. And in a 2-player game, you remove 2 cubes from each faction. Like I say, we're going to be playing through 8 rounds, and each round we're going to contest for a region. It's very short, very sharp. In the region, you've got Scottish cubes, English cubes, and red or Welsh cubes. If one faction has more cubes than the others, then they're dominant. So here blue is dominant, Scottish are dominant. They'll win the power struggle in that region, and you place one of their control discs in that region. At the end of the game, each region will have a control disc or an instability disc. Remember, in solo game, you get 3 of these, you immediately lose. Not in multiplayer, it's the quick game end condition. At the end of the game, whichever faction has the most control discs is the dominant faction. And during the game, you're going to be grabbing these cubes as followers. And then if you have the most cubes in the dominant faction, you're the winner. Okay, so that's a broad view of the game. At the start of the game, we're just going to set up quickly. So we place 2 of each faction in their capital, like so. They really should have made Essex yellow and Strathclyde green. I don't know why they didn't, but there you go. Then we're going to randomise using this drawstring bag, so place the rest of your cubes in here. We'll give each player 2 followers to begin the game. This is their court. Okay, so these are the number of followers you have to start the game. So the Saxons have yellow and blue. We've got yellow and blue. So your court of followers is going to grow as the game goes on. Now we randomly draw cubes to make up each region to 4 cubes in each region. And once you're done, any remainders come out of the drawstring bag and into the supply. We don't need this now, so I can go back in the box. Next, we shuffle up these 8 region cards. So these determine the orders that these power struggles happen in the 8 rounds of the game, or the 8 turns of the game. We'll place them, and there's numbers here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's the order we're going to do stuff in. Okay, 1, 2, 7, 8. Okay. There we go. We're ready to begin. So if we look at our actions, the first power struggle is going to happen in Essex. Down here. At the moment, yellow is the dominant faction. Well, I have a yellow follower, so do the Saxons. But we can influence that with our cards. But you've only got 8 cards. And each card that you play can only be played once. So if I wanted to play English support in Essex, this one says add 2 yellow cubes, 2 yellow followers, into a region that borders a region controlled by the English. At the start of the game, there's no control on the board, right? And throughout the game, there may be no region that's controlled by the English. If that's the case, then you can place adjacent to Essex. Okay, so that's what a card does. So I'll go through these in a minute. But here's the thing, there's 8 rounds in the game, we know this. It could end early if there's an invasion. But you've only got 8 cards. So once I've played this card, I can't play it again. So in each round, on your turn, you can either play a card or pass. In a multiplayer game, then it goes around the board. You either play a card or pass. Once you've passed, you can't then change your mind and play a card. Okay, you've forfeited your turn for 1 round. But if you play a card, the turn comes back round, people either play a card or pass, they come back to you. You could, if you wanted, play another card. But because you've played 2 cards into this round, that means in one of the upcoming rounds, you're not going to be able to do anything. Okay, if the game goes to full 8 rounds. So you've got to think about that. That's one layer of depth here. Do I play? Do I pass? How many cards do I play? Knowing that in a later turn. So there's this little power struggle going on. You play a card, then you see what other people do. When it comes back to you, is the game set how you want it to be? Is Essex? We know we're in the struggle for Essex. Do you want to pile in and try and do some more, influence the power struggle in Essex, or do you want to let it go? Okay. In the solo game, it's exactly the same, but the Saxons aren't going to do anything. In the solo game, you can play a card, you can keep playing cards until you decide to pass, and then the Saxons will go. Okay. So what do these 8 cards do? So you've seen this one. Okay, English support. There's also one for Welsh support and Scottish support. They work just the same, so Scottish would be place 2 cubes in a region adjacent to a Scottish controlled region, and if there's no Scottish controlled region, then their capital Moray next to their capital Moray, which is Strathclyde. Okay, same for the Welsh, right? Their capital's here in Gwynedd. You've got 2 assemble cards. Assemble says place a blue cube, place a yellow cube, place a red cube into any region or regions. It could be the same region, it could be 3 different regions, up to you. Then you've got maneuver. Maneuver says swap any 2 followers from any 2 regions. They don't have to be adjacent, so I might want to swap this yellow with this red, for example. Okay, that's a maneuver. Outmaneuver is similar, but this time the regions must be adjacent, and this time you move 1 cube out and 2 cubes in. Okay, so you're swapping 1 follower for 2 followers. And then finally, negotiate. Negotiate used to be called the Crown in first edition, and this is where your negotiation discs, and these were called the Crowns in first edition, so it's just a bit of a terminology change. So with negotiate, what you do is you swap the position of 2 regions in this queue. So we're fighting at the moment for control of Essex, but you could pull out a maneuver card and go, switch it round, okay, switch it, and suddenly the tables have turned because we're now in Devon. What happens, let's say we did want to do that. Let's say we did this. You can then place your crown, you have to place your crown on one of the 2 cards that you've swapped. Let's say we place it on Devon. When you do a negotiate, you can't swap a card with a disc on. So we've fixed that in position now by putting the crown on it. We could do this one. But if we did Essex, somebody else could then come and do this. All right. So that's negotiate. Right, with that in mind, let's get cracking. It's hard. It's one of those games like Pax Pamir Second Edition. It's hard to conceptualize what it is you're trying to achieve. We know in the solo game we don't want an invasion, so we have to avoid 3 non-dominants, right? So in Essex at the moment we're good. There's 2 yellow cubes here, but I know the Saxons are going to mess with that potentially, and that's where the struggle is. Now remember, I can't play English support here because this is adjacent to this region, okay? Here, here, here. That doesn't help the cause in Essex. I could play assemble, or I could play outmaneuver. I could just pass and just let it go. Or I might just play something that doesn't benefit Essex at all, but I've got my eye on Devon. Yeah, so you can be thinking ahead. In fact, I could be thinking a long way ahead if I want to. I'm going to go all out and sink my outmaneuver card. All right, I'm going to try and go for an early lead here, and we're going to swap 2 cubes for 1 cube, and then after playing an action, you immediately summon a follower to court. Now, if I'm looking towards yellow being dominant, then I probably want to grab a yellow follower. Devon's coming up next in Gwynedd. I'm going to take this yellow one from Gwynedd. Okay, so that's it. I've played my action. I've grabbed a follower from anywhere on the board into my court. Then I can play another card if I wish, or I can pass. I'm going to hold on. I'm going to pass. And let's see what the Saxons do. So in a solo game, in a multiplayer game, obviously, we'll just now go around the table and then we decide what we want to do. In the solo game, you've got to make your decision before the Saxons act. So again, another layer of difficulty for the solo game, but it has to be, right? Because you're not playing against intelligent opponents. All right, let's see what they do. They're going to maneuver. That's a tough card for us. That's really going to mess with what we were hoping to do. Maneuver and outmaneuver are the strongest AI cards in most situations. Now I've done a little bit of take 2 here, so you may have seen this video before, but I've re-uploaded now because I wanted to simplify the solo rules after some consideration and some feedback and some questions. So this is a bit of a take 2, and the AI rules, which you can find on my website, boxofdelights.net, and in a link I'll put in the descriptions. But if you go to boxofdelights.net, you'll find a whole list of solo rules. This is going to be there for you, and it's really simple now. So the rule is, for AI, the first thing they'll do is try to eliminate the majority in the contested region or reduce it to a majority of just 1 cube. And with the maneuver card, they can do that. All they've got to do is shift a cube from anywhere else and put it anywhere else, and now the majority is just 1. But do they do it in Devon, Warwick, or Northumbria? So the second priority is, if they're not looking at the contested region, Essex, the priority is to just remove a faction majority, starting in the region highest up the order below the contested region. So Devon. So Devon, yes, it has a faction majority, just wants to reduce the majority. So majorities with blue, so it just switches that one out, switches that one in with their maneuver. Nice and easy. Okay, that's messed with my plans because now they get to remove a follower. And again, the logic's nice and simple. They want to eliminate a majority in the contested region. When removing a follower, though, this rule of one, of having just a majority of one, so if there was another yellow here, there's no point in removing a follower from Essex because they've not eliminated the majority. So they would then look in the adjacent regions, starting with Devon. Okay. They wouldn't remove from Devon because removing a cube just creates a majority. So they then go to Gwynedd, take a cube. Yes, they're reducing a majority. Okay, I know there's no other cubes here, but it still counts as removing a majority. Okay, 3-0 versus 2-0 is reducing a majority. All right, so that's what they do. As it stands, they can remove a follower from Essex and eliminate the majority, so that's what they're going to do. And that's probably messed with our plans because now, with AI taking their turn, we resolve the contested region, and there's no majority here, so we remove the cubes and an invasion happens. That's one of the difference actually in second edition. In first edition there were 4 Saxon invasion cubes. In second edition there's only 3. So if you want to reduce the difficulty, because in solo 3 invasions is game end, in first edition it was 4. What you could do is just use these white tokens instead. Use the black ones as the negotiate tokens. Use the white ones as invasions. Put 4 of them here in France. And that's probably a good way to start playing, using 4. Because chances are you're going to lose by invasion. Right, that's it. That's the end of the first turn. And it's not a good start because Essex has fallen. And we didn't want that to happen. So Essex gets turned face down. We've resolved the conflict here. Now it's back to us. Devon is next. So what I'm going to do is play my maneuver card, and we're going to do a maneuver. I'm going to work towards a blue majority here. I'm going to take a red one out, put it into Strathclyde, bring a blue one in. Is that good? I think so. Okay. And now, I don't think it's entirely secure, so I might just do an assemble as well. Now obviously this is going to leave me 1 card short towards the end, but I want to be able to secure Devon if I can. So we're going to take, I need to remove a follower first, so I'm going to get rid of this red one. Thank you. Okay, so that's remove a follower after this action. Now I'm going to play another action. I'm going to put a blue in here. I'm going to put a red in Gwynedd, and I think a yellow in Lancaster. And then I'm going to remove, I'm going to take this yellow. I feel happier now. Right, anything but outmaneuver, and I think we're good. Yeah, because if they can outmaneuver, they can remove 2 and then get rid of the majority. But odds are with us. Okay, let's go. There you go. It is outmaneuver. All right, so again, nice and simple for the AI. They're going to try and reduce the faction majority in the contested region, so they can take 2 out and bring 1 in, and that's it. There's only 1 place, and that's here. All right, and then they're going to remove a blue as a follower. They've removed the majority from Devon, which means it's now invaded. Golly, right, we're doing terribly here, but we're learning the rules. That's the main thing. So they've gotten rid of their worst 2 cards, so now we've just got to hold on. Okay, Devon is resolved, and now Gwynedd is good. So I feel pretty confident actually they've gotten rid of their worst cards. So at this stage I might just pass. Gwynedd's going to go red. I don't think there's anything they can do about it. Yeah, so this is okay. We just got to hold on from here. Yeah, I'm going to pass. Okay, let's see what they do. They're going to assemble. So contestant region is Gwynedd. Can they place a cube here and reduce the faction majority to 1? No, they can't. Okay, so they're going to go to next, which is Strathclyde. Can they place cubes here and reduce the faction majority? Yes, they can. There's a faction majority of red here. So placing either blue or yellow will do it. So I can choose, do I want to play blue here or yellow here? It's entirely up to me. Let's place yellow here. Placing blue here no longer reduces the majority, right? So they're going to move on to Moray. Placing blue will increase it. Placing red does nothing. Okay, it just keeps the majority at 2, so that's no good. Lancaster, obviously if I'd have played blue here, then yellow would have done, right? So that's why I chose that way. Lancaster, yeah, I can put red in here and reduce the majority. Placing blue here doesn't affect things. Placing blue here doesn't affect things. Placing blue here doesn't affect things. So this is where we step to the third piece of logic, which is, again, working from the top down below the contested region, place a cube where it doesn't increase the majority. So Strathclyde will do. Strathclyde is next. Okay, that's it. Now they need to remove a follower. Starting in Gwynedd, can they eliminate the majority? No, they can't. Then to Strathclyde, can they reduce the majority? Yes, they can. There's a majority red, so they can take 1 red and reduce it. Now we resolve the conflict in Gwynedd, which is red. Red is good. Okay, Strathclyde. Next. So we've got to start being careful here, because there is a chance he'll play negotiate and switch it to Moray. I can't let either of these fall. So I could do this. I could play Scottish support. And obviously that adds 2 blue cubes here. And then I can remove a cube. So I could remove this red one. So I might do that. Right, so we've got 2 red, 3 yellow and a blue at the moment. The question is, do I want to go again? He could place more blue. Could do an assemble, add a red and remove. So he could mess with this if he's got an assemble next. So I might have to do an assemble myself and beat him to it. And yeah, we're probably overcooking it. I think it's the only way, otherwise we will lose. And yellow here. I think I'm going to do this. And then remove a cube. I might have to look ahead and remove this yellow. Remove this yellow. I'm actually just going to remove, oh my. I want to get blue, I think, or red. Blue or red. Red. I'm going to remove this red. Yep. And then I'll pass. This really is just damage limitation at the moment. Okay, yellow. That's good. There's nowhere he can play yellow. So all he can do is remove a cube. So he can't do anything with his card, so he's just going to then remove his follower. He can't remove a follower to win the region, so he goes to next, which is Moray. Can he reduce the majority? Yes, he can. So he's taking blue. I don't like this because he's now winning in blue. And we resolve Strathclyde, and Strathclyde turns blue. With Moray next. Goodness, I might have to switch it. I need to grab a blue from somewhere, don't I? I've got to do something with Moray, because if I don't, he's going to take a cube and then that's game over. So I'm going to play the negotiate. I'm going to switch it to Warwick, I think. Place my token here. Remove a cube. Remove yellow. Then pass. He's playing red. So he's going to add 2 cubes. He can only place here or here. Placing in Warwick does not reduce the majority to 1, so he's going to have to go to Lancaster. And now they'll remove a follower. So removing a follower here doesn't help. Lancaster will reduce a majority. They'll take a red from Lancaster. Now we resolve Warwick. And Warwick goes blue. And this is why I'm a little bit worried now, because blue's majority and they've got 3 and I've only got 1. Okay, next is Lancaster, which is going to go red. So I'm actually going to play this card to add 2 to Lancaster, and that'll put the majority at red. So there'll be 2 reds. Now I know he's got a switcheroo coming up, plus a yellow and a blue. No, a blue and an assemble. So he could mess with Moray still. I'm going to take a red cube from Moray. Let's see what he does. Yeah, this is it. This is game over, I think. So he's going to assemble in Lancaster. He can't reduce the majority to 1, so he's leaving it. Then Moray, he can eliminate by placing a yellow here. Now, they're both, Lancaster's unaffected, so Moray on Northumbria both got yellow and blue. Moray's near the top of the order, so the red's going here. They can't add the blue without increasing the majority, so they're just going to act in the region which is highest up the order below Lancaster, which is Moray, so they're just adding a blue here, which is still fine for them, because then they can just remove it, eliminate majority, take away blue from Moray. Okay, so they've really amped up on blue. We resolve Lancaster, which goes red. It's still not game over yet, because there's a 50-50 chance they'll switch it. But I've got to do something. I've only got a yellow card, so it's either going to be Moray or Northumbria. It's a 50-50 chance, because if this is the negotiate, it goes to Northumbria. If it's not, it stays in Moray. So if they add blue, it's going blue. If they switch it, it's going to Northumbria, and then they're just going to take away a cube, and we lose. So I think we've lost either way here, so I'm just going to take a blue. And there's nothing we can do now. And they've gone for placing 2 blues. Does that mean we're okay? Even if it does, we're so not dominant. So they can't add here without increasing the majority. They can't add here without increasing the majority. So, well, they're going to act in Northumbria, the one below. So actually, it still didn't help. Northumbria is also adjacent to blue. That one goes black. The invasion finishes the game. Well, it was close, folks. Very close. Well, I hope that's kind of helped. I think it's a better demonstration of how much simpler the rules are, but this is a tough little solo variant. It's the kind where, because the game's quite short, there aren't huge opportunities to do much about it. You have to, the only way to really break it is to play multiple cards together, but pick your moment. Personally, I think you need to go to 4 to start off. If you went to 4, then you stand a better chance. So that would be my advice. Start with 4. Switch the blacks out for whites, go for 4 cubes in France, and then only ramp it up to 3 when you're ready for it. So yeah, second edition does make it more difficult with that 4 to 3. There you go, give it a try, see how you get on, and it's really an opportunity for you to hone your skills and get an idea about how you might influence the board to try and go for that victory. If this were a normal game, we'd have 2 points because we got 2 sets, right? And they'd have 2 as well. So coronation is when you have a faction majority. Invasion, here we're in a tiebreaker situation. Okay, so tiebreaker, we've each got 2 sets. And it says the tiebreaker here is the player who most recently played an action card wins, which in the case of the solo rules, is always going to be the dummy player. So that's another way you could play it if you wanted to, is actually have invasion not be the end of the game, but just go to the tiebreaker. Up to you. But there's lots of ways you can play this solo. Hopefully this gives you some ideas. Thanks for watching. See you next time.